reading each sentence. Okay. So Srim here is discussing the difference between the Sankhya philosophy and the Vedantic philosophy. In the Sankhya philosophy, Purusha is many. Okay. You are 5 of you listening to this talk, and me, we are all different. Our soul essentially may be the same, but we are all different again. Just like the 100 mangoes on a mango tree, essentially they are the same taste, the same color outside, and basically the same type of pulp, essentially. But each one is different in size and not only size, but even taste can slightly differ. So this is the what he is saying. In the Sankhya philosophy, essentially each soul is same. It does not say that. It is Advaita which says that. But they are saying all souls are different. And there is only one Prakriti. But in the Vedantic idea, all souls are essentially the same at the highest level. And we are interested more in the higher level than in the lower level. So the Vedantic idea is there is only one soul. And all the different, seemingly different souls are actually essentially the same. In other words, you can become the divine. In the Sankhya philosophy, you can have a relation with the divine, and you can, but each soul is different. And when one soul has got realization of the divine, the other souls have not yet got. Therefore, they are different. At the lower level, this is true. Okay. So, the Vedantic idea of, I'm reading the text now. The Vedantic idea of knowledge does not present the same difficulty. Okay. The same difficulty. The Gita takes it at once and completely, and throughout the 6 chapters, quietly substitutes the still immutable Brahman of the Vedantins, which is the self, the one without a second, immanent in all cosmos, for the still immutable but multiple Purusha of the Sankhyas. So it replaces the different multiple Purushas at the lower level, all different, and it says there is only one soul, okay? The Brahman of the Vedantins. So that is the difference between Sankhya and Gita also, and also Vedanta. Yeah. So, good morning, Archana Ji. Good morning, Shilpa. Okay. So,
Good morning, Rangada.
yeah. The Gita takes it. Yeah, good morning. The Vedantic idea of knowledge does not present the same difficulty, because the difficulty is that there is only one, various souls, and only one Prakriti. That's right. Spirit is one, nature is also one, but in Sankhya philosophy, spirit is many. You are all different souls. The Gita takes it over at once and completely, and throughout the 6 chapters, quietly substitutes the still immutable Brahman of the Vedantins, the one without a second, Ekameva Dvitiya, immanent in all cosmos, for the still immutable but multiple Purusha of the Sankhyas. Okay, so this is what the Gita does, and the Upanishads also do that. The Vedanta also does that. It says there is only one ultimate soul. Then it says, the Gita is saying, it accepts throughout these chapters knowledge and realization of the Brahman as the most important, the indispensable means of liberation, even while it insists on desireless works as an essential part of knowledge. Knowledge is the most important, and knowledge of the self is important, Brahman, but you have to do the work, okay, in the physical world, and the work is to be done as a sacrifice to the divine. It accepts throughout these chapters knowledge and realization of the Brahman is the most important, the indispensable means of liberation. You have to know knowledge is essential for the Brahman, even while it insists on desireless works as an essential part of knowledge. Whereas in the Sankhya philosophy, Prakriti is an illusory thing, and you have to get rid of it. Okay, so here you have to continue to do the actions but not in the egoistic sense, but in the sense of a sacrifice. Whatever I am doing, whatever I am thinking, whatever I am emoting, all is to be offered as a sacrifice to the Lord. Then that brings about the knowledge. It accepts, it is the Gita, accepts equally nirvana of the ego. Now that's an interesting. Nirvana means the blowing out. Nirva, you, when you blow out a candle, you blow from your mouth a gust of wind and it blows out the flame. Exactly in the same way, when you go to the self, it's a nirvana of the ego. The ego is extinguished. Okay, nirvana is the extinguishing of the physical world. It becomes an illusion. It becomes only shadow play of images without reality. In the infinite, it accepts equally nirvana of the ego. In the infinite equality of the immutable, it accepts that. Of the immutable, impersonal Brahman as essential to liberation. The self is always impersonal. Okay? The personal aspect of the divine you experience only in at the lower level, you experience it through bhakti yoga, or you have to go to in the knowledge aspect, you have to go to the supreme, the Purushottama, third level. Then you can get the personal aspect of the divine. Otherwise, the self, the nirvana, okay, the witness self is all impersonal. Nobody is there. You only experience a plane of consciousness, which may be that of consciousness, or it may be that of substance, or it may be that of ananda, or even power. Okay, exclusively. So there
Here,
was
nirvana of the ego, Ranganath. Here,
yes,
nirvana of the ego is individuality, no?
yes, very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ego is an individual phenomena in the nature, in the lower level. Your ego is active when you are identified with your body, mind, life. The moment you cease to identify yourself with your body, mind, life and realize that you are the self, the pure consciousness, okay, like Shankara says, Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham, then the ego disappears. The ego is there as long as you are not conscious of your soul in the body, mind, life. But the moment your soul or your consciousness, which is the same thing, comes out of the body, mind, life, gets released from the prison of body, mind, life, then the ego disappears. Because the ego belongs here, to the lower level. Okay, individual.
But
Yes.
does this last, this realization, it just comes sometime, no? The realization of the soul, even if it happens just for a while, no? It doesn't happen all through the life, no?
I didn't exactly follow what you said, Tarika. You said what? It happens what?
No, the realization of the soul, once it happens just for a moment, no? It doesn't last in our life like that, no?
In the beginning. But the experience can go on, repeating itself until finally it becomes absolutely a permanent thing. When you say that a man is a realized person, you mean that his consciousness is now stationed permanently in the self and not in the body, mind, life. So in the beginning, what you're saying is true, that you have an experience, but not the realization. The realization is now permanently you are stationed in the above the head. Okay, you feel yourself to be stationed above the head. At that time, there is no ego, and that is the liberation, mukti, moksha. That is what happens. Okay, so what you're saying is true in the beginning. I don't think anyone can have the first time experience and call it a realization. I don't think so, because the human being is essentially imperfect and full of defects. It's natural. It's not a negative thing. It's full of limitations, full of impurities. That's how you are. Okay. That's to everybody. All nature is in the beginning. Why? Because you're coming from matter, you are coming from life, you're coming from mind, all limitations. Less and less limitations as you go up, but still limitations. These limitations you get free when you go to the self above the body, mind, life. Okay? So now I read the next sentence. It accepts equally the nirvana. So that is the Sankhya. Then it practically identifies this extinction with the Sankhya return of the inactive immutable Purusha upon itself when it emerges out of identification with the actions of Prakriti. So in both, in the Sankhya philosophy, liberation is the same, and also in the Gita, the liberation is the same. It identifies the same, okay? It combines, where is it gone? It practically identifies this extinction of the Sankhya. This extinction of ego and the Brahman consciousness. With the Sankhya return of the inactive, immutable Purusha upon itself, when it emerges out of identification with the actions of Prakriti. Actions of Prakriti, body, life and mind. Okay? So these are the similar to both. In both, liberation is the first step. It combines and fuses the language of the Vedanta with the language of the Sankhya. Up to that point, it is the same, as had already indeed been done by certain of the Upanishads. Okay? And the Upanishads, he has put a footnote, especially the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, in which the image of the two birds are there. Okay? The image of the two birds, I'll just repeat. There are two birds sitting on a tree. The tree is the universe, and one bird is sitting on the lower branch, which is our soul, and it is eating the fruits of the tree, which means to say that it is enjoying and suffering both the fruits of the tree, that which is available in the universe. Okay, it is enjoying good food, it is enjoying success, but it is also suffering when there is no satisfaction. So that is the lower bird. But the higher bird is the same soul when it goes above the body-mind life. And he is absolutely at peace, and he is not eating the fruits of the tree. And when he is not eating the fruits of the tree, what does it mean? That nothing from the physical world is affecting him. He is calm and quiet, and he is watching the lower bird, okay, with maybe a little bit of compassion even, but with absolute detachment. He is in peace and calm. This is the image in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, also in some other Upanishads also. The same image is there. Okay. In fact, note interestingly that the Shvetashvatara does not speak of the third level of the Purushottama consciousness, where you see the impersonal aspect of the divine as well as the personal aspect of the divine. The third level is not being spoken of, although it does refer to it in a very vague manner. Sri Aurobindo says it is not very clearly enunciated in the Upanishads as it is in the Gita. The Gita is very, very clear about the three levels. Level 1, Kshara Purusha. The Purusha, the personal aspect of the individual soul, is imprisoned in the body-mind life. Level 1, Kshara Purusha. Kshara, mutable. Okay. Then level 2, the spiritual planes of consciousness, the Akshara consciousness. And the third level, the Uttama Purusha. Akshara Purusha, Kshara Purusha, level 1. Second level, Akshara Purusha, the self, immutable self. The third level, Uttama Purusha, combines both personal as well as impersonal. And then you have the power to do whatever you want in the physical world. But you have to be stationed there. You can't just have one experience. If you do have an experience, you have a lot of power, but it's not permanent. Permanent means you will become part of the supramental race. Okay, so by certain of the Upanishads. But still, there is a defect in the Vedantic position which has to be overcome. So even in the Vedantic position, they are not speaking clearly of the Purushottama, the third level. That's what Srinath is going to discuss now. So there is still a defect in the Vedantic position which has to be overcome. We may perhaps conjecture that at this time the Vedanta had not yet developed the later theistic tendencies which in the Upanishads are already present as an element but not so prominent as in the Vaishnava philosophies of the later Vedantins, where they became indeed not only prominent but paramount. And what is the Vaishnava philosophies? the devotion to the personal aspect of the divine. And that personal aspect of the divine, avatar of Vishnu, Sri Krishna. Okay? All the Vaishnava philosophies, Vaishnava is the adjective from Vishnu. So Vishnu's avatar is also, all the avatars are also Vishnu who is manifesting in the world. Okay, so it is the Sri Krishna, devotion to Sri Krishna, love and the personal relation. That is not there in the Upanishads. It is there in a very vague manner. That's what Sri is saying. It is already present as an element, but not so prominent as in the Vaishnava philosophies of the later Vedantins. Later Vedantins, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, okay, because he is only 400 or 500 years old, whereas Shankara is, Vedanta is 1200 years old, no, 1500, 800 BC. Okay, that's why he's saying the later Vedantins, where they become indeed not only prominent but paramount. We may take it that the orthodox Vedanta was, at any rate, in its main tendencies, pantheistic at the basis, monistic at the summit. So you can imagine, pantheistic at the basis, the universe is the divine. Okay? He is there everywhere. Okay? Because you should remember this sentence in the Upanishad, Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahman. Shankara accepts this. The world is nothing but Brahman. Okay? So how can he be a Mayavadin? He is not a Mayavadin. Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahman. But at the highest level, it is not Sarvam, it is only one. Okay? So that's what Srimad is saying. Pantheistic at the base. Pantheistic is clear. Pantheism is the philosophy which says that nature is the divine. The divine is nature. The wide universe is the divine. That's pantheism. But it is monotheism at the summit. There is only one ultimate reality. So this is the Vedantic position. Okay. So then there is also a footnote for the summit. The pantheistic formula is that God and the all are one. When you use the word all with an A cap, he is meaning the universe and whatever is there in the universe. The monistic idea, formula, adds that God or Brahman alone exists and all in the cosmos is only an illusory appearance or else a real but partial manifestation. In the Vedantic philosophy, the universe can be seen as unreal, then it becomes Mayavada, or you may see it as real if you have the cosmic consciousness. Okay, so that is the Vedantic position. That's what Srimad is explaining. But the Gita goes one step beyond and formulates the idea of the Purushottama, the third level. It knew of the Brahman, one without a second. Vedanta, when he says it, he is talking about Vedanta. It knew of the Brahman, one without a second. It knew of the gods, Vishnu, Shiva, Brahma, and the rest, who all resolve themselves into the Brahman. But the one supreme Brahman as the one Ishvara, Purusha, Deva, all different words are there used. Words often applied to it in the Upanishads and justifying to that extent, yet passing beyond the Sankhya and the theistic conceptions, was an idea that had fallen from its pride of place. The idea of the Purushottama had fallen from the basic idea. That is what Srimad is saying here. Here's a footnote again. He is saying, this is a little doubtful. We may say at least that there is a strong tendency in that direction, of which Shankara's philosophy saying a slight doubt about the Upanishads, the Vedanta, knowing about the Purushottama. But Srimad is saying it's a little doubtful because Shankara also has any number of hymns, beautiful hymns, okay, praising the personal aspect of the divine. And he was even Mata Annapurneshwari, and there are many others also, okay, which is all Vedantic, but also there is a worship of the Divine Mother, the one who supplies who is a supplier of all food and everything in the physical universe. So definitely the element of bhakti was there in Shankara. There is no doubt about it. That's why they say doubtful. Because the interpretation of Shankara's philosophy was not very correct. Even today, some people think that Shankara is a Mayavadi. He is not, very clearly. Okay. I had once in the Sanskrit class, I had to show that Shankara is not a Mayavadi. So I took out from the his writings. I took out all the references where he is talking of the personal aspect of the divine and devotion. In the Mayavadan philosophy, there is only the impersonal aspect of the divine. Where is the personal aspect? There is no personal aspect. So that was an interesting exercise which made me completely realize that there is Shankara is not a Mayavadi, particularly in his master work. It's called the Viveka Chudamani. Okay. Viveka Chudamani, Viveka discrimination is a crown jewel at the highest level. That's a personal aspect. Okay, I now go to
But
the.
then why he is known always as Mayavadi?
Pardon?
Why everyone knows him only as Mayavadi?
Because he is stressing the word Maya. That's the whole problem.
Mm-hmm.
He is stressing the, and I don't think that everybody says that he is a Mayavadi, but he is often referred to as a Mayavadi. It is true that he is a Mayavadi if you interpret the word Maya correctly. Okay, the word Maya can have several meanings. Okay, that's the whole problem. No? Maya at the highest level is the power of the divine to create real forms. Okay. And at the lower level, if you are in the Vedantin, only at the impersonal level of the universe, impersonal aspect of the universe, which is the self or the Brahman consciousness, you see the physical world as unreal and therefore it is illusion. So Maya becomes illusion. It's a creator of illusions at a lower level. Okay, that's why he is known as a Mayavadi. The word Maya is there also in the Upanishads, but Shankara uses the word Maya, revived the word and used it in the sense of illusion, which is true, but that's why he is misinterpreted. So, in fact, Sri says that Shankara's philosophy is highly complex and very beautifully done, but it is open to misinterpretation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he says that in the Life Divine. Okay, so I go on to the next. Okay, we had an idea which is fallen from its pride of place. He's talking of the Purushottama consciousness in the Vedanta. It was not so important in the Vedanta. The names could only be applied in a strictly logical Brahmavada to subordinate or inferior phases of the Brahman idea. In the Vedanta, he is talking of the word Maya could be used in a different way. That's what he's pointing out. The Gita proposes not only to restore the original equality of these names and therefore of the conceptions they indicate, but to go a step further. He is going a step further also. Okay, and what is that? To go a step further, the Brahman in its supreme and not in any lower aspect has to be presented as a Purusha with a lower Prakriti for its Maya. So to synthesize thoroughly Vedanta and Sankhya. And as Ishvara, so to synthesize thoroughly both with Yoga. So we'll look at the sentence carefully. The Brahman, it goes a step further. Gita is going farther from the Upanishads. That's what it's saying. What does it do? It not only to restore the original quality of these names, the Ishvara or the Purushottama, and therefore the concept and the indicate go further. The Brahman in its supreme, that means the Brahman in its supreme is the Purushottama level 3 and not in any lower aspect level 2. Okay, very clear. Has to be presented as a Purusha with the lower Prakriti for its Maya. Okay, there is the Gita. He is saying that there is a third level, and at the second level there is Purusha, and there is lowest level, it is a Maya. Maya is the one that creates the illusions of the lower Prakriti. Okay. So to synthesize thoroughly Vedanta and Sankhya. Now they are interpreted in the Gita in the correct way. And as Ishvara, so to synthesize thoroughly both with yoga, karma yoga. Because in the other systems, the karma yoga is not there. But the Gita is going to represent the Ishvara, the Purushottama, as higher even than the still and immutable Brahman. Purushottama is level 3, which is higher. Even then, still and immutable Brahman, level 2. Okay? Where you experience the impersonal aspect of the divine, and the Purushottama is the aspect where you experience both personal as well as impersonal. And the loss of ego in the impersonal comes in at the beginning as only a great initial and necessary step towards union with the Purushottama. So, you have to go through the experience of the self, which is the impersonal, and then only you can go to the highest level, which is the personal as well as the impersonal. Okay? But note interestingly that the personal aspect can be accessed through the Bhakti Yoga also at a lower level. It's not that you can't access the personal aspect of the divine with the Vaishnava philosophy, but then you don't get the knowledge. You don't get the knowledge of the higher planes of consciousness. Okay? Purushottama has got both. The knowledge as well as the power and the ananda and everything, and devotion and love. For the Purushottama is the supreme Brahman. Okay? He is not the lower Brahman, but the supreme Brahman. Level 3. Only Brahman is level 2. Supreme Brahman is level 3, which is Purushottama. Okay? It therefore passes boldly beyond the Veda and the Upanishads as they were taught by their best authorized exponents, and affirms a teaching of its own, which it has developed from them, but which may not be capable of being fitted in within the four corners of the meaning as ordinarily interpreted by the Vedantics. The Vedantics are talking only of the level 1 and level 2. They are not talking of level 3. Very clearly. He's saying they don't talk about it very clearly. Because he's saying very clearly, he's saying, but which may not be capable of being fitted. There is a little bit of a doubt. No? That's why he has told you earlier also. Upanishads do speak of the personal aspect of the divine, but not in a very clear way. Okay, that's the word. And interpreted by the Vedantins. Now there is again a footnote for Vedantins. Second footnote. I am reading the footnote. In reality, the idea of the Purushottama is already announced in the Upanishads. He is admitting, Swami is admitting. Though in a more scattered fashion than in the Gita. And as in the Gita, the Supreme Brahman or Supreme Purusha is constantly described as containing in himself the opposition of the Brahman with qualities and without qualities. Nirguno Guni. This is the Saguna aspect is the personal aspect of the divine. He has got qualities. And the Nirguna aspect is no qualities at all. Absolutely immutable, featureless. Okay? Without any characteristics. Infinite, eternal, and without any features. Okay? That's a Nirguna. So, Nirguna and Saguna are spoken of very, very clearly in the in the Upanishads, but not referring to it as the third level. Okay, that's what Swami is saying. There is a little doubt about that. So, he is not. Who is the he? The Supreme Purusha or the Purushottama. He is not one of these things to be exclusion of the other, which seems to our intellect to be contrary. The impersonal and the personal seem to be contrary. That's what he's saying. They seem to be experienced separately, but in the Gita, they are experienced simultaneously in the third level. That's the difference. Okay. We have got 15 minutes. We read the next one.
Nirguna,
Yeah.
Nirguna Guni means
Yeah.
means
Nirguna Guni means? Nirguna
still
means?
having guna, no?
Huh? Pardon?
Still he's having gunas, no? Nirguna, but with guna.
Oh, guna means characteristics. Guna is a
But
quality.
Nirguna Guni and yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It's a Purushottam. Nirguna, he is qualityless, but he is also a guni. He has got qualities. A guni is one who has got qualities.
Yeah.
Sarika? Any?
No, because Brahman and with I didn't understand the difference.
Okay.
Nirguna Guni or Saguna.
Okay. I'll make it. Nirguna is the impersonal aspect of the divine.
Yeah.
Okay, clear? He
Yeah.
has got no qualities at all. You are, when the human being experiences the nirguna, he is in the Brahman consciousness. And what is the Brahman consciousness? Impersonal, no qualities, absolutely a blankness, only peace and calm and knowledge. Okay, clear? There is no God, there is nobody there. But the Guni is one whom you experience as God. He has got love, he has patience with you.
Your voice is breaking.
A lot of noise coming. Yes.
Voice is breaking also. I don't can't catch.
So Guni means the personal aspect of the divine. In the Upanishads, they are mentioned as separate. Okay. Nirguna Guni is in the Gita. He is both together simultaneously. Even Srimdo had the problem when he was in the spiritual planes of consciousness. Okay, he was seeing Purusha and Prakriti separately. They both exist, but they are separate. In other words, you can see the divine with qualities, but you can also see the divine without qualities, but they are separate, they are not one. At the third level, in the supermind or in the Purushottama, the third level, they are one. They are two aspects of the same. Now it's clear?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is what he is saying. In the Gita, very clearly, Nirguna, Guni, he is both together. Only at the third level. Okay? Yeah.
Okay.
Rangada?
So now, yeah, tell me.
Yes, okay. When Sri Aurobindo said here, it therefore passes boldly beyond the Veda and the Upanishad. So what
Yes.
does he mean here, the Veda?
Oh, the Vedas, because there is no clear, the Vedas does speak of all the levels, okay, because it says the spirit is the highest is our father and the lowest is our mother. So it does speak of all the levels, but not with any philosophical aspect. Okay, so that's what he's saying, going beyond the Vedas and the very clearly enunciating the combination of all these things. That's what he means by going beyond all these with a clear conception. Suki, your question is why is saying beyond the Veda, right?
Yes, yes. So what the Veda means here, and yeah.
So I think because the Veda is a synthetic a principle, synthetic. It is synthetic, but the expression is not so clearly enunciated. Okay.
Okay.
In fact, there is no philosophy in the Vedas. No philosophy at all. It's only a record of experiences. That's all.
So Rangada, although the Veda is synthetic, although the Veda is integral and synthetic, but it doesn't have a philosophy there. But the Gita is synthetic and philosophical both.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
That's right. Philosophical because it is expressing in mental terms higher spiritual. That is philosophy.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
You can read the next one. The Gita in later chapters speaks highly of the Veda. Also, Sunki, there's another thing. Because
Yes.
Gita has criticized the Vedas, na?
Mm-hmm.
So you remember in the previous one, the Vedavadins, okay?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so it is going beyond that also. Now it was criticizing not Vedas, but those who are interpreting the Vedas only in the sense of using the mantras there for success in the physical world, okay? For wealth, for prosperity, for happiness, for children. The Vedavadins are utilizing the Vedas only for success in the physical world. You remember the Uttar Mimamsa and the Purva Mimamsa. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so that's right. Okay, so that's what is going beyond that. That's what is.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So somebody has to read the. If uh, Yasmin can certainly not read because her voice is absolutely out.
Rang-
If
Rangada,
yeah, tell me.
Rangada, here also one aspect, what I understood in this paragraph, which I was on the way, so I couldn't speak. There he is also saying, I think, what I felt, maybe I'm wrong, that he is also insisting that in the Gita has strongly put the idea of Purushottama, which is not very clear in the Veda and Upanishad. In
That's
that
right.
also, in that also Gita goes beyond the Veda and Upanishad. I'm answering
That's
to
right.
what Sunki asked, na, that why is he telling going beyond the Veda? Even this aspect in Veda and
Exactly.
Upanishad, they
Yes.
have not put very strongly the aspect of Purushottama,
That's right.
where Nirguna Gunis Brahman.
Exactly.
But in
Exactly.
Gita, clearly Krishna has mentioned, or in the Gita philosophy, it is clearly mentioned. I thought this is
That's
also one.
exactly.
That's all.
You have understood absolutely correctly. That's what he said. So we read the next para. Okay, it's the last para of the chapter. Maybe we can only read it today. So Archanadi, you'll read. If you don't have to go away, you can read it.
No, no, Rangada, I cannot read because I don't carry the text to the dispensary.
Okay. In
5 more
that
minutes.
case, yeah, either Shilpa or Sunki has to read. Or even Pallavi, she's there.
I can
Pallavi,
read.
are you there?
Yes, yes, Rangada.
Okay, then will you read the last para?
Yes, Rangada.
Okay, go ahead. The Gita in later chapters.
The Gita in later chapters speaks highly of the Veda and the Upanishads. They are divine scriptures. They are the word. The Lord himself is the knower of Veda and the author of Vedanta. Vedanta. The Lord is the one object of knowledge in all the Vedas. Sarva Vedar Aham Eva Veda. A language which implies that the word Ved means the book of knowledge and that these scriptures deserve their appellation. The Purushottama from his high supremacy above the immutable and the mutable has extended himself in the world and in the Veda. Still, the letter of the scripture binds and confuses, as the apostle of Christianity warned his disciples when he said that the letter killeth and it is the spirit that saves. And there is a point beyond which the utility of the scripture itself ceases. The real source of knowledge is the Lord in the heart. I am seated in the heart of every man, and from me is knowledge, says the Gita. The scripture is only a verbal form of that inner Veda, of that self-luminous reality. It is Sabda Brahma. The mantra, says the Veda, has risen from the heart, from the secret place where is the seat of the truth. Sada,
Sadhana.
Sadhana Rasya Guhayam. That origin is its sanction, but still the infinite truth is greater than its word. Nor shall you say of any scripture that it alone is all sufficient and no other truth can be admitted, as the Vedavadim said of the Veda, Nanyada Astitya Vadina. This is a saving and liberating word which must be applied to all the scriptures of the world. Take all the scriptures that are or have been, Bible and Quran, and the books of the Chinese, Veda and Upanishads and Purana and Tantra and Shastra and the Gita itself, and the sayings of thinkers and sages, prophets and avatars. Still you shall not say that there is nothing else, or that the truth your intellect cannot find that there is not true, because you cannot find it there. That is the limited thought of the sectarian, or the composite thought of the eclectic religionist, not the untrammeled truth seeking of the free and illumined mind and God experienced soul. Heard or unheard before, that always is the truth which is seen by the heart of man in its illumined depths, or heard within from the master of all knowledge, the knower of the eternal Veda.
So this is the last para of the chapter, and what he is saying is that on the one hand, in the beginning, the Gita is criticizing the Vedavadins, but afterwards he says that the Veda itself is the Vedavid, Vedanta Krit. Vedavid, the one who knows the Veda, okay? And the Vedanta Krit, the one who has written the Vedas, the one who has done. Vedanta Krit. Krit means the one who has done the Vedas. So, the Lord is the one aspect, one object of knowledge in all the Vedas. Sarvair Vedair Ahameva Vedya. Of all the Vedas speak of me as the only one to be known. By Vedya, I am the only one to be known in all the Vedas. So, it is very clearly specifying that the Vedas do speak of the Lord. That's what he's saying. A language which implies, and also he is mentioning another thing, that don't go only by the words, Shabda Brahman. The words describe the Brahman, but they are not the Brahman itself, Shabda Brahman. So this is what you have to, and he says that very, very clearly in the first chapter itself of Essence on the Gita, if you remember. He said that don't get stuck at the words level, okay? And also in the synthesis, he says so clearly that all scriptures are relative truths. They are not the complete truth, and no scripture can claim to be the absolute truth. They are only expressions of truth, and expressions through words are limitations. So all scriptures are only partially true. So you don't get stuck and insist that only this one is true, like the Bibles and the Quran. They insist that that's the only way. It is something so strange that they don't see that the divine cannot be limited only to one channel. You can experience the divine only through Christ. Okay? That's a funny aspect. How can that be? The divine is infinite. So you must have a very, very wide way of looking at things. How can the divine be limited only to Christ? What about those who have not heard of Christ? Is God being unkind to them? How can it be? So that idea is wrong. And in this Quran also, Muhammad is the only prophet. So that idea is absolutely absent in India, where we have got under the Vedanta, there are so many different religions. There is, of course, Quran and the Bible came from outside. But even within India, you have so many different types of the Vaishnavites and the Shaivas and the Sikhs and the Jains, all different aspects, but all are tolerated. And there used to be also debates in the courts of kings. So there was no intolerance there, as there is there is an intolerance in the Christianity also, because they say only Christ is the only way to God. So that is exclusivity. And in the Islam, it is even more intolerant. Those who don't believe in the Prophet Muhammad need to be eliminated from the physical world. It goes to that extent. Not in the Quran, but the interpretation of the Quran. As this is the Hadith. Okay. In the Quran, there is the talk of jihad, but maybe that's a different interpretation. But in the Hadith, okay, that's a subject, it is a additional text which many follow, and now the world is realizing everywhere that is Hadith is very, very intolerant. Those who don't believe in Muhammad should be eliminated from the physical world. Either the Quran or the soul. That's how they spread Islam. Right from the Mongoloid race, right up to across Asia, and across the Middle East, across even the northern part of Africa into Spain and France. Even that, they spread that much. Okay, until finally the Christianity overtook Islam, and from Europe largely Islam disappeared. But in modern times, from the north coast of Africa, Yemen, Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Egypt, all these are Islamic countries. And when there was migration after liberation of all these colonies, the Islamists again have gone back into Europe and are creating trouble there. Okay, so that is the. It's very interesting, but there have been very interesting studies. Okay, and they have found that if the Muslims are given freedom, slowly they convert the whole country. In 2-3 cases, it already happened. Okay, in Jordan, in Beirut, okay, Lebanon. From a Christian country, it has become a Muslim country. So Europe is really afraid now that if you allow these to happen, then slowly it will become a Muslim continent, Europe. So this is the difference which pointing out. We have gone beyond the time, so we'll stop here today. So next time we will maybe redo this para and then go on to the 10th chapter, the Yoga of the Intelligent Will, which includes both Sankhya as well as Jnana Yoga. You realize the divine through the mind, okay? Intelligent. Okay.
Muruga Rangada, merci, bonne journée.
For everybody.
Thanks,
Have a
Rangada.
nice day.